All right, so again, we're going to start off today just by reviewing Chapter 1 test. And those of you guys who have a question, I don't mind. All right, I want to spend a few minutes doing it, but I don't want to waste, or I don't want to spend too much time. All right, Walker.
Sorry.
How about this, Walker? Before I start, I'd like to do it in order. So does anybody have any questions with the first page? The first page was pretty much just, what do you know? Yes, tell me. Hold on, go Walker.
Could you please do number 4?
Number 4. Okay, so 3 non-coplanar points. The object here was for you to understand that P and N are completely different planes. Did you understand that? So coplanar would have to be 2 points from one plane and 1 point from another plane. Is everybody with that? You agree? So, for example, you could say D, E, and C. You with me on that? All right? Or you could say, actually, you could even say D, E, and F. They're in the same plane, but they're on the same line. So there's not one plane that goes through those 3 points. Does everybody hear me on that? That's kind of a tricky question now. DEF, you could have said DEF, although they are in plane N, they're also in what? A lot of planes. They're in a lot of planes. Does everybody agree with that? All right. Okay, so I think that answered that question. You could have said any 2 points from one plane and one in the other. All right, anybody else on the first page? What?
13.
Let's look at 13. So basically what you had to do is had to do the distance formula how many times? 3 times, right? So in this case right here, we have to find PQ, correct? We have to find QR, and we have to find what? PR, that's what I want. You agree? All right, now, listen, for you guys, your mental math, I want to get sharper. All right, so we're going to practice mental math now. All right, for the distance formula, remember, you have to subtract the x's and then square it. So if I'm doing PQ, 8 minus 0, or 0 minus 8 is 8. 8 squared is what?
64.
So this is 64 plus 36, which is 10. Exactly. Because 34 or 36 plus 64 is 100 squared, 100 is 10. Agreed?
Yes.
All right. Now, QR. 8 minus negative 3 is really 11 squared is what?
121.
So I have the square root of 121 plus. And now 6 minus 4 is
2.
2 squared is, so I'm adding. So that's the square root of 125. And now remember, 125 has 5 quarters in it. Right? So the square root of 25 is 5. So that's a good review right there. So that's 5 radical 5. Is everybody okay with that? Right? Okay. Now I'm doing PR. All right. So PR, square root. 3 squared is 9 plus 16. That should be 5. Is everybody with me on this? Right? Everybody good?
Yeah.
So now, what can I add together?
10, 5.
15 plus 5 radical 5, and technically should be units because they don't give a measurement. All right. So I want you to get in the habit of trying to always write down the proper units. All right. All right. Anybody else on the first page? Yes.
Number 12.
Number 12. Let's see. If C is the midpoint of AE, find the coordinates of point E. So now here, this one's kind of tricky, okay? So I don't know where E is. Do you agree? Now I'm going to put a dot here and I'm going to try to show you something. I'm going to move that somewhere where C becomes the midpoint. So to me, if I was looking at it, it might be like that. Do you agree? All right. So we would say -1, -3. Now, how do I know that's true? Let me show you how I knew that's true. So I went from here to here. Do you agree? So do you agree if I walk down 2 and to the right 1, in order to be exactly in the middle, I'm going to have to go what? Down 2 and over 1. Do you agree with that now? All right. So there would be the midpoint. All right. Walker.
Could you do 14?
14. Okay. Now, on these, find the value of x and y if UV bisects. Who can tell me what bisect meant? What was bisect?
It crosses right in the middle. It's perpendicular.
Now listen, it's not necessarily perpendicular, but you're right, it crosses right in the middle. So bisect just means it cuts something in what? In half. That's all it means. When something is bisected, it cuts it in half. Do you with me? Right, so if UV bisects TW, then that means that is congruent to that. You agree with that?
Yeah.
And it says UV is equal to 40. So this distance from here to here is 40. Do you agree with that? So that means that 3y minus 1 plus 2y plus 6 equals 40. Do you agree with that, Walker, now?
Yeah.
So if I solve that out, that becomes 5y plus 5 equals 40. 5y equals 35, so y equals what? 7. Now the reason why that's important is because if y equals 7, that makes ZW what? 22. Does everybody agree with that? And if that's 22, then this over here has to be what? 22. So then we could say what? That's exactly correct. So x equals 8. All right, is everybody happy about that?
Yes.
All right, that was nice. All right, pretty good. All right, let's move down to the next page. Somebody quickly want to tell me about this? Aspen.
Number 23.
23. It says, find the length of each side of polygon RST. Well, do you see how it's marked congruent?
Yes.
So that means that is congruent to that. So it's just 3y minus 1 equals 2y plus 11. So y equals 12. Do you agree?
Yeah.
But is that the answer?
No.
No, because it says find the what?
Find the length.
Length. So you have to do 3 times what? 12 minus 1.
Yeah.
And 3 times 12 minus 1 is what?
35.
35.
Okay. Wait, why would you say that?
Well, because you found, and look, this is on all standardized tests. You with me? You found the value for y. You didn't find the length.
Oh.
You with me on that, right? Yes, sir.
Number 18.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what y is, right? Look right here. This angle is vertical with this angle. Therefore, they're equal. You agree with me? So you just say 72 equals 8y minus 16. And I know you can solve that, right?
Oh, yeah.
You good now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
25.
All right, let's do 25. Okay, Stephanie wants to transfer the soil from one rectangular pot measuring 4 by 5 by 3 into a cylindrical shaped pot. The soil in both pots should be level to the top. What should be the volume? Well, the volumes are going to be what? Volumes are going to be the same. Do you agree? Walker? Stephanie wants to transfer the soil from a rectangular pot into a cylinder-shaped pot.
Yes.
So they're telling you the volume should be equal, right? So to find the volume of a rectangular, it's just 4 times 5 times 3.
And so the answer would be 16.
Yes. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else on that page? Good for you, buddy.
19.
19. Let's talk about 19. Find the measure of angle 1. All right. Well, that one's kind of easy because look, this right here adds up to 180. You see that, right? All right. So I know you can do the math on that quickly.
The bonus.
Okay, so the bonus I didn't think really was that hard. Now, again, for this it says, find the dimensions of a rectangle whose length is 3 more than twice its width and the perimeter is 30. So if you're unsure about this, you could make yourself a little rectangle and put L and W. That would be L and that would be W, do you agree? So here you would say 2L plus 2W is the perimeter, do you agree? And that's 30. Do you agree with that? Now from there you could say the length plus the width have to add up to what? Does that make sense to you so far? Everything's good? Now, the next part it says is length is 3 more than twice the width. Do you agree with that? And now wherever I see an L, I can put what? 2W plus 3.
Oh, I put length as like the horizontal.
It doesn't matter which one, honestly. It makes no difference. What matters is this relationship. You with me? Do I need to go any further? You got it. All right. Okay. Now, the next part, the most important part here. All right? The only thing that I thought was hard was maybe question number 4, because it's been a while since you've done factoring. Does anybody want me to explain anything? Now, on number 4, what should you do first, though? What should we do first, guys? Simplify. By dividing everything by what?
4.
Dividing by 4 would have made life much easier. X squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. 2 sets of parentheses. X times x. The only factors of 3 are 3 and 1. Remember your smiley faces. Negative, positive. So x is equal to 3 or x equals negative 1. Or you could have just plugged the answers in until you got the right answer. True, but again, that's a possibility, but that's the best way. Everybody good with this? Let's do 3. Oh, come on now. Look, here's your mistake on number 3. Distributing a negative, correct? So plus, plus, minus, plus. Is everybody with me on this? Now I'm combining like terms, agreed? 1x squared y plus 1x squared y is what? 2x squared y. So now I know it's not A or B. So for me, it's just a matter of just one more term is all I'm looking for, right? Because both of these are different and the last one is different. So it doesn't matter which one you go for. I would say negative 3y squared and positive 3y squared do what to each other? Cancel. So the answer must have been C. You can only combine like terms. All right, is everybody pretty good with that?
Yes.
All right. Now again, if you are concerned and you want me to help you more specifically, please come and see me in the morning. I can help you. Afternoon, anytime you're in the PE and you want to come over here and ask me a question, that's perfectly fine. I'll be happy to do that.
Wait.
All right. Now,
40.
3 and negative 1. I believe it's B.
You get negative 2x. You do negative 3.
Yeah.
It says 3 negative 1.
You have to
Because you have to plug the numbers in split the 0. Oh. Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, listen. The next important thing is, guys, we're not always going to use notability. All right. I did some reading over the summer, and it said still writing with pencil and paper is still, guess what? The absolute best way. All right. So we're going to spend about half our time doing notability and half our time doing pencil and paper. All right. If you really like notability and you just want to say, I want to do all of it notability, the problem with that is I'm going to collect your homework. So if you have it on notability, it's hard for me to see it. All right. So, I'm going to say today we're going to work on paper. So I want everybody to get out a sheet of paper. All right. and you have your pencil out, and then your iPad is for your geometry book. But because I'm projecting, do you really need your book out? No, because everything's going to be open on the screen. So bear with me. All right. So today we're going to jump into chapter 2. Now, section 2.1 is easy. It's an introduction to inductive reasoning. And inductive reasoning is reasoning based off observation. So everybody hearing me? Inductive reasoning is reasoning based off observation. And let me give you an example. So if I say 2, 4, 6, and I say, what's the next number? You're going to say the next number would be what? 8. That's inductive reasoning, because you're simply looking at the pattern trying to figure out what's next. So in geometry, we have what's called inductive reasoning, and I'm skipping section 2.1 because inductive reasoning is what? Easy for us. It's just recognizing patterns. All right, something not all that important. All right, you guys are good at that. I know that. So I'm jumping into section 2-2, which is called deductive reasoning. And deductive reasoning is reasoning that involves rules. And great philosophers have come up with these rules for reasoning. And I'm going to be quite honest. Listen to me. I don't even understand some of the rules sometimes. All right? But someone way smarter than me came up with the rules. Right? So if you want to be someone who is a good thinker, you've got to know how to reason well. And that's kind of why I like this. All right? Now, believe it or not, the rules in geometry are symbolic. All right? I'm not expecting anybody to know anything about today's lesson. It's brand new for everybody. The symbolism is different. Listen to me. If you listen, it's the easiest thing in the world. If you daydream, you're going to wake up from your dream and you're going to go, oh my gosh, I have no idea what those symbols are. There's all kinds of symbols involved, and there are all kinds of rules. And if you don't know the rules, you can't play the game. If you know the rules, the game is simple. It's very, very easy. And I don't really ever read to you guys, but I feel like today we have to do that. All right? So I'm going to kind of put it up on the board. The nice thing about this is that I can put it up on the board and I can project the book onto the board. And then we kind of just go through it. Now, you're on your own as far as what you need to write down. All right? I personally think it's all common sense. And I will show you how you can make sense out of the symbols that they use and why the symbols are the way they are. All right? So if you listen carefully, it'll be very easy. All right? So you can head your paper section 2-2 if you want. All right? And let me find section 2-2. So here is section 2-2 right off the bat. All right, today we're going to talk about truth tables. All right? Now, in the past, I've kind of skipped this, but as I've gone through the SAT and the standardized tests, there are some logic questions on there that I think if we did this section, it would help us out on standardized tests. All right? So that's why we're doing this. All right? So here we go. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of reading, but really, this is the only way I can do it. Because look, if I scroll down here to the problems, normally we just start at the problems. How do you fill in that table? Right, so if you don't know what the symbols are, right. And after I read this to you, you're going to go, that is just so simple. All right? But if you don't understand the symbols, then you can't do the logic. All right? So here we go. Let's read through it real quick, kind of together. And again, very simple. All right? Now, some of you from English probably know this. All right? A statement is a sentence that is either true or false. Can something be true and false? No, it's one or the other. You can't be true and false. All right? You're either true or you're false. The truth value of a statement is either true or false. Statements are often represented using a letter such as P, Q, and R. Those are the most frequently used letters. We're going to use P, Q, and R for almost everything. And what you do is you break each statement down and give it a what? Give it a letter. All right? So, in this case, P represents a rectangle is a quadrilateral. Is a rectangle a quadrilateral? Yes, that is true. All right? Now, the negation of a statement has the opposite meaning as well as an opposite truth value. For example, the negation of the statement above is not P, and the symbol for not P is that little squiggly line. All right? Not P. That just means the opposite. Is everybody with me on that? All right? Now, not P would be read as a rectangle is not a quadrilateral. Is that true or false? False, right? Because if the original was true, the negation has to be what?
False.
Has to be false. I think that makes sense. All right, really try to concentrate, guys. Really try to concentrate. All right? Now, the next part. Two or more statements are joined by the words and or form a compound statement. I think that's basic English, right? You guys know that. All right? A compound statement using the word and is called a conjunction. A conjunction is true only when both statements are true. All right? Now that should make sense also, right? An and statement. All right? Both statements have to be true in order for it to be true. Does everybody agree with that? All right? Now, a rectangle is a quadrilateral is true, and a rectangle is convex. That is true. P and Q. A rectangle is a quadrilateral, and a rectangle is convex. Therefore, that entire statement is what? Because both statements are what? True. So remember with me. If one of those statements were false, then the statement would be itself what?
False.
It would be false. All right? All right, here we go. Example 1. Use the following statements to write a compound statement for each conjunction. Then find its truth value. Explain your reasoning. P, the figure is a triangle. Is that true?
Yes.
The figure has two congruent sides. Is that true?
Yes.
The figure has three acute angles.
No. False.
False. Thank you. Definitely false. Because one is a what? Right angle. All right? So P is true, Q is true, and R is false. Is P and R both true?
No.
No. So that would be a what?
False statement.
False statement. Now look, here is the time, the first time now, I'm asking you to think about it now. I don't want to just tell you the answer. All right? I want you to clearly look at what I'm talking about. I'm asking you about P and R. Is P and R true? No, because R is what?
False.
Because R is false. All right? Now, what about P? Now, this is the symbol for and. Now, how do I remember it's an and? Because it looks like a what? Looks like an A to me. All right, that's how I remembered it. All right? So, is Q and not R? Is that true?
Yes.
Yes. Does everybody agree why? Because R is what? False. So not R would be what? True. Now listen, guys. I want you to speak up as soon as you're not sure about what I'm saying, or if the symbolism doesn't make sense. All right. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
I don't think it's that hard. I don't think it's that hard. All right. Now let's look at 1A. P and Q. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Not P and not R.
False.
Definitely false. All right. So I think you got it. It's very easy, like I said. Very easy. All right. Let's go to the next page. A disjunction just means what? You have a what? That's correct. All right. And I think that's from what they teach you in English, correct? All right, hopefully it is. I think it is. All right, it's been a while, but I think I remember going over that. All right, so or is a disjunction. All right? Now, what is true about an or statement? All right, an or statement, you're going to have two statements, but guess what? Only one of them has to be true. Either A or B has to be true. Can they both be true, though?
Yes.
Yes. But you have to have at least what? One. If both are false, then it's what? False. If one is true, then it's automatically what?
True.
True. Now, this was the and this symbol is the what? Or. You with me on that? All right, and trust me, I have no idea why they use the symbols. All right? So, Malik studies geometry, Malik studies chemistry, Malik studies geometry, or Malik studies chemistry. All right, so I think we got through all that. All right, I think that's good. All right. Now, let's look at P. January is a fall month. True or false?
False.
False. January has only 30 days.
False.
False. January 1 is the first day of a new year.
True.
True. All right, now let's see if you're paying attention. All right, now you can tell if you're paying attention. You can answer these questions. Is Q or R, is that a true statement?
Yes.
Definitely true, right? Because one of them's true. P or Q?
False.
False. I'm agreeing with you. Not P. So if I'm not P, that makes it what?
True.
So now it's automatically what? It's automatically true. Do I care what R is? Because all I need is what? One true. Is everybody good with that? Because it's a disjunction. Thank you. You're exactly correct. All right, so I think you guys are good. All right? We talked about the negation. We talked about the conjunction. We talked about the disjunction. Is everybody good with that? All right. Now I'd like to talk about the truth table. I think it's really fascinating, or really kind of cool, actually. All right. Remember, your statement can either be what? True or what? False, right? So if I give you statement P, it can either be what? It can either be true or it can be what?
False.
The negation of that would be false true. Is everybody happy with that? All right, now here's what's designed as a truth table. All right, this is just something to try to organize the data so you can represent whether you think something is true or false. Is everybody with me? All right, so they've broken it down, cut it to math. Now, hear me out. Please listen to me. This right here is always the same because that's all the different combinations of P and Q. Is everybody hearing me? So P and Q can both be what? True. They can both be, or one can be true and the other one false. So here's how you write a truth table real quick. Your first column, P, true, true, false, false. And your next column is always true, false, true, false. Does everybody hear me on that? So that's how you would design a truth table with two statements. Now you can design a truth table for 3 statements or 4 statements, but it gets kind of complicated. 2 statements is good for us. It'll be basic, straightforward. All right. Now, does everybody understand what I'm saying about this truth table right here represents all the combinations of P and Q? P and Q can both be true. P can be true and Q can be false. P can be false and true can be Q, or Q can be true, or they both can be false. Everybody good with this? All right. Now, we're going to write a statement. That's statement P and Q. Do you agree? So what's the truth value given that P and Q are both true? It's true. Is everybody good? If it's true, false, they would both, or it would be what?
False.
False, true, it would be what?
False.
And 2 falses would create a what?
False.
Hey, does everybody hear me on that, right? That's all there is to it. All right, makes sense. That's for a what? An and statement.
Is this the McGraw-Hill?
Yeah. The one that you have.
This is page 99.
Yeah, it's exactly what you guys have. All right? Now, the disjunction is what? The or statement. Notice again, true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. Did everybody see that? Now, an or statement, only one of them has to be what? True. So in the truth table, that's why it goes what? True, 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 false. Does anybody have any questions with that? Any concerns? All right, so listen to me. This is the column that you would be filling in for me. That's the column. I would be giving you this, and you would be filling in this. All right, that's what you're doing. All right, so I think I'm pretty good with that. All right, and the other thing is, I'm going to jump to the problems now because I don't want to waste too much time. But the other thing that comes up a lot on the SATs are Venn diagrams. And for whatever reason, kids aren't very good at Venn diagrams. So I'm going to try to help you with that. All right? Now, when you look at Venn diagrams, does everybody understand this region right here is P and Q?
Yes.
Does everybody agree with this? All right? Over here, this section right here represents what? P and what? Not Q. So I agree with that? This over here represents what? Q, Q and not P. All right, does everybody get that? All right. And then everything on the outside represents what? Not P and not Q. Not P and not Q. All right. So again, the Venn diagrams, I think that's pretty intuitive. I don't think it's that hard, but we need to practice. All right, we definitely need to practice. All right, now what I want to do is, because I'm running out of time, I just feel like this is what we said right here. Do you agree? All right. Now, I left this one out. Does everybody see P or Q?
Oh, yeah.
P or Q would be all of this. Do you agree? Right? Okay. Now, I think the Venn diagrams, like I said, they're going to ask you questions about the Venn diagrams. So if I ask you right here, how many are just in May?
5.
How many are in May? 11. How many are just in June?
14.
How many are in June?
20.
How many are in May and June? How many are in May and June? Whoa, 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 whoa. Somebody said 6, right? May and June. These people right here are both in May and June. Do you agree with me? Come on now. Does everybody agree? How many people are in May or June?
25.
25. Do you agree with that? How many people are there altogether?
27.
27. How many people are not in May and not in June? 2. That's about all I can tell you. Right? That kind of corresponds with what we're doing. Is everybody good with that? All right. So now, I want to just go down now and try to talk real quick. Because we get out at what time? We get out at 55. Now, what time? Oh, no. That's because of the recording. It kind of, I don't know why it does that, but it just freezes on a time. All right. I have,
It's 9.
what time is it?
9.
What time are we supposed to get out?
I have no idea.
Yeah, we don't have like program times for our schedules because it's Monday. What is ours? Is it so?
9:05. Didn't I say we get out at 9:05?
No, you said 8.
Oh, 9:05. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry. Now listen. So I still have, no, that is the right time. Sorry. So I have 5 minutes to finish up, correct?
Yes.
All right. So now, the assignment, I don't even remember what the assignment is, but I'm going to look it up real quick for us. And then I want to show you something really kind of neat, lesson plans for the 20th. So for us, I want you to write this down. 1 through 31, 33. All right. Now I'm going to run out of time here, and that's why sometimes I don't like going over the tests. But I also read some research that going over your tests is kind of important as well. So I wanted to do that. So here's your homework again. Section 2.2, page 103, numbers 1 through 31, 33. Now, the next thing I want to show you, what I did for you guys, was this. This year, I'm going to do this for you. Pay attention. I have put into Google Classroom. Everybody go to Google Classroom. Google Classroom. Go to Google Classroom for me. All right, come on. You should be sitting over there being charged. Okay? I don't want you. That's what all that stuff is there. Is everything in Google? Now, hit Solutions. And look what I did for you.
Yes.
Right? All of those are all of the solutions for the homework. So everybody get that? Now, part of it is the odds are in the answers are in the back of the book that you can just look up, but they don't ever give the explanations. Now, listen to me, guys. Some parents thought that was kind of weird that I was giving you the answers. But if you don't do your homework and just write down the answers, it's going to not go well on your test. All right? Plus, this is a little tricky if you don't get the idea. Right? So does everybody hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
Tomorrow, I'm collecting your papers. All right? For homework. All right? And believe it or not, listen to me. I can tell if you wrote down just the answers. All right? It's not that hard.
So on the homework, we have to write it down.
No. Your homework is do the problems without looking. If you don't know how to do number 24, you can go to the worked out solutions. It'll tell you exactly how to do it.
But for the homework, what do we do?
You're going to, wow, this isn't that complicated. So here we go. The assignment is 1 through 31, 33. Is everybody good?
Yes.
Right, so that's what your homework is.
But all let's say number 1, I said P,
Let's say you have no idea how to do number 1. Instead of just leaving it blank, you can go do what? Look up this worked out solution. It'll tell you exactly how to do number 1. Does that make sense? Now, right? All right, it's not there designed because when the answer is there, how do you get to the answer is what my point is. You with me now, right? So they're worked out solutions. I'm going to try to do that every day for you. All right, so those of you guys who are having trouble a little bit, now you have all the worked out solutions so you can double check and verify your work. So when I walk into class tomorrow, I'm going to say, what's the problem? And you're going to say, probably nothing because I had all the answers. But you might be able to say, look, man, they explained to me number 10. I have no idea what they're talking about. Please help me. And I will do that. All right, quick.
All right, I know. So where do I find it? Is it an iBooks or do I have to sign it to McGraw-Hill?
Yeah, it's McGraw-Hill.
Yeah, you're supposed to be in McGraw
Yeah, I
Hill.
did have a technical issue with that.
All right, so how many people don't have the book?
Well,
So come back at lunch if you don't have the book.
Okay, I signed in on the first day, and whenever I've tried to sign in since then, it won't let me. It says my password is wrong. But I signed in the first day with the password, and it said it was correct.
Okay, so are we saying now that